Hello guys, welcome to RPA Feed. In this session, we are going to look at getting data from SQL and putting it into an Excel sheet. So let's get started. So in this bot, we will be having steps, like we will just define the series of steps that we are going to do in order to achieve our desired result. So our requirement is we want to fetch the data from the database table. I have one database table called student. So this is the current data in that student table. So we want to fetch all the records which are having age greater than 40. So out of these 6 records, we should get 4 records for whom the age is greater than 40. Okay. So now let's define the steps. First, we need to connect to the database. That's one step. Then next step would be to write the data to the Excel. Next step would be to loop the data, basically to loop through the data retrieved from dataset, loop through the dataset which we are getting it from the SQL DB. Then third step would be to write that data in the Excel file. Writing data to Excel file or Excel sheet. So in like at the high level, these are the 3 steps we'll be performing. So let me also include the error handling over here. So within the error handling, let's include me all these steps, selecting them all multiple way, like by pressing the control you can select all the actions simultaneously. So now we are done with implementing or including error handling as well. So let me here, for now I'm not logging in catch. I'll just have one message box, but in real time or real projects you will have here logs. In case of error, you just log it to the log file. So here let me include a variable with error line number. So for that I first need to create 2 variables. So here I will have to create 2 variables which will state the error messages in this. Right? So let's we can do that later. Some error, for now we'll write some error occurred over here. Okay. So now coming back to the step 1, which is connect to the DB. So for connecting to the DB, we need database package. So let's get the connect command or connect action from the database package. Then let's connect it over here in server name. I have already taken the server name in one variable called SQL server name. So this is my variable which have the name of the server which I'm going to connect to. And the database name is optional, but we'll provide it over here. So my database name is test, and inside test we have a student table. So that student table will specify in our query. And the username, so my current username is this, and password is, let's say, admin123. Okay, so this is the connect action. The session name will keep default at the moment. So now let me drag read from action. So read from action is useful for retrieving the data from your database. So here we can specify the select query. So remember, we need to get the data with age greater than 14. So our query should be like this: select star from student. Student is our name of the table. Sorry, where age is a column, so we'll denote it with the brackets, where age is greater than 14. Okay, so this we do not want. We want to fetch all the rows, so we will be not mentioning anything over here. Also, you can export this data directly to the CSV by enabling this option over here and specifying the CSV file name. So let me show that as well here. So inside C drive temp folder, let me create student data.csv, and this will only work for exporting data to the CSV format. If you specify here directly the Excel file, it won't work. See, there's a red marking, red highlighting mentioning the invalid extension. It only works for CSV files. So if you want to export your SQL data which is retrieved from SQL directly to CSV, this would work. So let's see that as well. And From database package we are done. We just need disconnect action. So this will disconnect the current session, but this will be needing at the end. So let's disconnect. Let's include one finally block. So here in the catch statement we'll have a finally block. So under finally we can disconnect our database session. So now this step 1 is done. Going back to step number 2. So this I need to drag here. Yeah. Going back to step number 2, it says loop through the database. So now we have this data in a default session. So now let me go to the loop action, and from loop action we need to loop to the dataset, SQL data set for each row in SQL dataset. So here session name is default. Then we need to define a record variable over here. Let me create SQL dataset row record variable, and this record variable will contain the row which will have our data. So for now let me go ahead and print a message box. So we will display all the rows in a message box for now, and we will check if our query is fetching the data successfully. So for now we'll say SQL dataset row of 1. So remember we had 5 columns: ID, name, class, gender and age. So in this now we will retrieve name. So name is at index 1. So let me mention here as index 1. And meanwhile I'll also do one thing. I'll create one variable with which we will call student name. Okay, and I will assign this value to student name. Assign. So assign action of string package we need here. What we are going to do here is to student name we are going to assign the data which is coming from the database. So SQL dataset row of 1 is getting assigned to student name, and now in the message box let's print or let's display the student name. Okay, this is done. Let's run this bot once to check if we are able to retrieve the data from database successfully. So it's running, and we got the first name as Karthik, Pooja, Sonia and Manish. So we were able to retrieve all the records, first name for all those records. So remember we got 4 records. So greater than 14, the age greater than 14 are only for 4 records. So our query is working fine, database connectivity is working fine, and we are able to loop through the records as well. So now the question is how we write this data into an Excel file. So if you see here, I have created excel1.xls. If I double click this, I get an Excel blank Excel. Basically I have created this header. If you do not want this header to be creating upfrontly, you can create this through bot as well. So but for simplicity I have added the header in this blank file, and now we will now we will update this Excel file with the data which we are getting it from the database. So let me close this Excel for now. And here remember the CSV file that got generated. So if I edit this CSV file, so you can see the details. Okay, and now let me go here back to the step writing data back to the Excel file. So in order to write data to the Excel file, we will be using Excel basic package. In an Excel basic package, first we need to open the Excel. So in order to open the Excel, we need to provide the path of that Excel file. So let me go here, copy path and paste it here. Remove the extra colons, and my Excel sheet contains header. So I'll tick this option, and I'll be using specific sheet 1 to insert the data. So this all details I have provided, and the session name here I need to give the session name. For now we will give it as insert data. So this is my session name. So once you have opened the Excel, we also need to close the Excel with the same session, and this close Excel session I'll be including over here. Now once we are done with the opening of Excel, now we need to navigate to a particular cell where we want to insert data. So our header is at first row, then from second row onwards we want to insert the data. So let me go to set cell. In set cell we want a specific cell, let's say A2, and at A2 we want to insert the value of ID, right? And A3 will be the value of student name. So here we want to create more such variables, so let me just copy paste this here. So we have 5 columns: ID, name, gender, and class and age. So let me create here variable called ID, assign this to ID, this is student name, then we have class, gender, and age. So class, gender, and age. So we have created 5 variables and assigned the data to respectively to those variables. So this would be now 0 of 0, and then 1, then this will be of index 2, and then here it will be of index 3, and this will be of index 4. If you don't want to specify index, so you can also write the fully qualified name of the column. For example, here we can write like this, H. So this is also perfectly valid. So whatever the name we are getting, name of the headers we are getting back from the database, we can use those as well to retrieve the data. So let's you can keep the record, you can retrieve the data and set it in the record variable using index based values or name based values. So for these, let it be index based, and for this we'll keep it as name based. And here in the message box, if you want to see all the values, we can also write them in sequentially. Student name. So before before putting the data into Excel, if you want to see what exactly and how you're getting the data, you can always use this message box for that purpose. And also you can use a log file where you log this data, because in real time scenario, in the real time project, you do not use message boxes much apart from your debugging. So this is how we will see the data. We'll display the data in a loop, and here let's specify at A2 what we are going to set. At A2 we want to set the ID value. So then again we need to copy paste this multiple times, and remember we have to update the session name over here as well. So our Excel session name is insert data. Let's go over here and update the session name to insert data. So we are done with updating the session name, and now we need to update the columns. So first column will be A2, then it will be B2, then it's C2, and then C and D, and here at the last E. So at every places we need to update the variables as well. Student name, then here it will be class, and then we will have here as gender, and at the last we will have age. Okay, so this is done for the first row, and like row wise it will be putting the data. Now the question comes here is this will only work for one particular row, because we have hard coded here A2, B2, C2, D2, and E2. So what about the next data? Always the first row will only get overridden by this. So we want to make this dynamic. It should update row by row dynamically. So we want this counter to be dynamic. So it will be A2 for the first time, then for the next row it should be A3, A4, A5, so and so forth, depending on the number of rows. So we want a counter, we want a running counter here. So let me create one variable of type integer or number. So row counter, we can call it as row counter, and let me use the assign action, and this time this assign action would be of number package. So we want to, outside of the loop, we will initialize this counter variable, row counter variable, with 1. Okay, and then we will inside the loop we will append this. We will be incrementing this to existing value of the row counter plus 1. So we are incrementing this. So for first time it will be 1, and for once it's for the second record it would be 2. So here while writing data to the Excel, okay, so this data this step need to be coming here. This step should come over here inside the loop, because one by one we need to write the data as well. So now what we can do here is we can use directly the row counter variable. So let me go here and type row counter, and as this is a number variable and this is a string, this is the specific cell value just only takes string value, so we need to convert this to string. So we need to follow the same for rest of the cells. So C2, we are making the cell dynamic so that it's not hard coded anymore. So depending on the number of rows, it will always keep on writing the data to the spreadsheet. So we have opened the Excel, we have set all the cells, and we have closed the Excel. Yeah. So in case of some any error occur, we will directly get this message box. So this is all done now. Let's run this and see if we face any issues. So what we are doing here is we are connecting to the DB, we are fetching the records. So we have included a message box to display all the data. So some error occurred. So because the bot did not give us an error, because we have handled that error. So whatever the error message we would have seen, we should have get it over here. So let's do a error handling. Let's create a variable of type number for error line number. So this is error line number variable, and let me create one more variable for error message. Okay, and in the error handler package, on error handling, let me have those variable. So this is my error message variable, and this is my error line number variable. In the message box now I can use those variable over here. Some error occurred, and the error line number dot toString and hyphen the error message. Okay, let's run this now again. So if we run this again, we will come to know what that error was, and inside the message box of our catch block. So unable to create session insert data as it already exists, line number 16. So let me close this, stop the bot. So we are opening the Excel, setting the cell values properly, A, B, C, D, 5 columns are there, and we are incrementing the row counter as well. Yeah. So what is happening is we are closing the Excel in the finally, and finally block will be executed once the execution of the entire steps are completed. For example, the loop is completed, and then the finally will be executed. So here what is happening, when the bot is trying to insert the first record and it's going back to for the second time in the loop, it's again seeing this statement open Excel, and the session is already open in memory, so it's throwing an error over here. So what we need to do is once we open the Excel and write the data back to the Excel, there are two ways to solve this issue. Either we can keep the Excel open outside of the loop, and then we can perform action on the session, or we can bring this close over here. So we open Excel, we write the data, we close it. Then second time again we open the Excel, we write the data and close it. This is not the efficient way of doing this work, but for the demo purpose we'll go with this format. Let me run this again. So this time we are fetching the again the bot will fetch the data from the database. It will display all the data in the message box, and now it will go and write it to the Excel file. Again it will write it to the Excel file, and we are done. The bot executed successfully. Let's go back and see the Excel file. So in the Excel file you can see 4 rows. I'll zoom in a bit. So there are 4 records that are updated in the Excel, that are inserted into the Excel file. So this is our entire data. So there are 2 records which are missing, which have the age of 14. So in our query we have fetched all the data with the age greater than 14. So this is perfectly fine. The bot executed successfully. So that's all guys for this video. Hope you have enjoyed it. So guys, I have seen a lot of you watch our videos, but you do not subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe to our channel guys. You'll get, and also hit the bell notification icon. So whenever we post a new video, you get the notification. So like I have analyzed the data and I have seen like more than 80% of you watch our videos but do not subscribe to our channel. Please do subscribe to our channel. That motivates us, and we know, right, we are reaching to that particular audience, and our videos are really helpful. And also do provide us your valuable feedback so that we can improve. So that's a humble request, guys. Please do like and share and also subscribe to our channel. Again, thanks a lot for supporting us, and thanks for watching our videos.